Okay, we're learning the Sikha of B'chokaisai Chelik Zayin, and we're in Siv Gimel. It's on page 190. So the discussion of the Sikha is beneged to the bracha in the parsha of Hishbati Chayron Aretz, that Lasad Lovei, the Eibishter will eradicate all wild beasts from the land. Machlokes of Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon, what that means. Rabbi Yehuda says, Maviran min ha'olam, they'll be completely removed from the world. And Rabbi Shimon says, Mashbishon shelo yizuko, that their bad nature will change. And they'll become nice petting zoo animals. Right. It's also hashbasa. So the Rebbe explains until here that the basis of their argument, according to the Rogatchover, is when the Torah writes the word hashbasa, does it mean completely, or does it mean only its function, its nature? And the source of the Rogatchover is the same, a similar machlokes that you find regarding chametz. Rabbi Yehuda says that over there, what do you do with the chametz? You have to burn it. You have to totally eradicate it. And Rabbi Shimon says that chachamim, which is Rabbi Shimon, mefar v'zayir l'ruach. It's enough if you just throw it in the wind and you take away possibility of it being used as food. So you changed its form, and its use. That's enough. Yeah. Okay. Now here the Rebbe will bring another source, second source, where we find this term of shvisa, and it's also again Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon that are arguing about the subject. Sif Gimel. Dem lashon shvisa gefindt man euch bei Shabbos. By Shabbos, of course, it says the term shvisa. Uvayem hashvi tishbais, that you rest on the seventh day. This Dimyan over here, and the way the Rebbe is going to connect it to the machlokes of Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Shimon, is the Rebbe's vart. Yeah. Zet men take as euch benegeye ism malacha b'Shabbos. So when it comes to the isser of doing malacha on Shabbos, was is verbunden euch mit uvayem hashvi tishbais, which is also based on this pasuk of tishbais, even though simply it's because of the loisasa, loisasa malacha. But there's also the mitzvah saseh, tishbais. Is da plukte from Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon in zwei inyanim. They argue regarding two different halachas regarding the isser malacha of Shabbos. Aleph, the first point is benigayat zum malacha she'ein tzricha legufa. When you do a malacha, that you are doing it with an intention to do, but you don't need the malacha for what its intended purpose usually is. There's a lot of examples for this. The Rebbe gives one example. Das heißt, wenn eine tut a malacha bekavana, the action of the malacha that you're doing is with full intent. Aber sein Tam with them is liban an der Zach. But what you're trying to get out of the malacha, the purpose of this malacha, is not what the malacha is usually for. So what's the example? Wie zum Beispiel, hamachabe es hanes. And hamachabe is one of the lamates malachas. You're not allowed to extinguish a fire. Now, what's considered to be the purpose of the malacha of machabe itself? When you actually need that leftover material that is there when you extinguish the fire. For example, if you have a log of wood, or if you have whatever it is that's burning, and when you extinguish it, so now you can use this log of wood as coals, or as it could be used for a fireplace. It could be used to keep warm something.
Or
so
leftover oil.
Again?
Leftover oil for something else.
Yeah, whatever it is. Yeah. So in other words, when you're extinguishing, you're the point of the extinguishing is in that thing itself. You're the marshal, but you're extinguishing a candle. By a candle, it's not so practical, but just to make the point, if you're extinguishing a candle, the only way it would be a malacha, which is for the purpose of the malacha, is that wick that's left there. It's a little piece of black wick, and you have some use out of that blackness. Let's say it's out of Tisha B'Av. Well, that's not Shabbos, out of Tisha B'Av. Whatever you need a little bit of ashes for your for what you're eating on Erev Tisha B'Av, and you're going to save this ashes. So you actually you're trying to get ashes. That's the point.
Why not just say you need the rest of the candle? You need the rest.
No.
Yeah, so it's a little bit.
You need
the rest of it.
No. You need
a 7-day yard.
No, the rest of the candle is further down. That piece where the actual fire was burning on that part of the wick, on the part of the wick that was actually burning, and there you're extinguishing the fire. That part of the wick is basically it's called pechum. That's what that brings it. And if you need that, if you have a use of that, that's the malacha. Okay, so now if that's the case, so when someone hamachabes haner, when you're extinguishing a candle, you're only extinguishing the candle. You don't need anything that's coming out of it, but because you need darkness, you're afraid of goyim that are going to see that you're here and they'll come and attack you.
Turn off the lights.
Yeah. Other, today you turn on the lights when
Yeah, right.
in order not to get ganoven. Okay,
Yeah.
but other, so there's a chayla that's sleeping, and you want him to be able to sleep peacefully, so you're turning off the candle. Sein Tam beim Kibui is nicht in dem ner Gufe. So the extinguishing of the candle, of the light of the candle, is not for the use that you have out of that piece of the candle itself. Weil tzorech lepecham, you need to this pecham, which is that piece of the wick that you can use the ashes there. Not to live another zach. You need it. You have another use out of this. No. So what's the halacha in such a case? Halt Rabbi Yehuda azeres chayev. So Rabbi Yehuda says that this is no different than any malacha that you do on Shabbos, and you'll be chayev just like when you do it for its intended purpose. When Rabbi Shimon halt azeres poter, Rabbi Shimon says that you poter in such a case because you're not doing it for what the malacha is intended for. You poter. Now poter always means poter aval oser. Still oser with the rabbanan, but you poter.
Because you want it for darkness, not
for the candle itself, right? You're doing it for something else.
You want it to be dark.
Yeah. Okay, now most Rishonim, by the way, passing like Reb Shimon that you potter in such a case, and this is only awesome the Rabbanon. Besides, I believe the Rambam that paskins like Rabbi Yehuda that Mloch Hashem Yitzrich L'Guf is chayev. Okay, that's one subject where they argue about. Now, Beis, another thing they argue about B'nigeya Tzudava She'enim Miskaven. When you do a malacha where you had no intent at all for the action done. It says the malacha on kavana. This is even less. You're doing a malacha where there's zero intent in this. What's an example? There's also a lot of examples for this, but here the Rebbe brings one interesting example, not so common. V'lo mashal ven eine gista rein kalte Wasser in a heise klimatches. So you have a hot hot iron vessel. Now, why are you pouring in the cold water into this hot iron vessel? So that's gonna warm up your water to some extent. Now, now when you do this, so this keli, which is a brand new keli that was just fashioned, so until its first use, until you don't pour in when it was just made, it's got fresh out of the oven, the kiln it's called, that you just made this metal, this iron keli. So in order to be mechazik, that the metal and the shape that it's in should hold perfectly, so you have to pour in cold water. So if he does this right after it comes out of the kiln, it's a fresh keli, and he pours in this cold water, what happens? It's mechazik the keli. That's what finishes off that the iron it becomes stiff. This is gemar melechas atzerfen. This is the completion of the malacha of those that are fashioning this keli in its size and its shape and so on. Now, so that what's this malacha? That's makeh b'patish, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there abeklal nit mechaven to the malacha? But that wasn't his purpose. Bechlal. He had a different. He just wants to have some warm water. That's all. He's not bechlal having any kavanah to be mitzaref to keli whatsoever. Okay. What?
Cooking.
No. He's not. It's not.
It's not cooking it, but it's
It's not. It's not cooking. It's not going to become yatzeledas, but it makes it a drop warmer. Correct. What's another famous example for a miskaven? The person that's dragging the bench on a soft piece of earth. Right, and it makes a chiritz. It makes in the ground a furrow, and it right. If it can't be mamish psikresha, correct? Yeah. Okay, so this is Eina Mechaven, when there's no kavanah whatsoever. So over here, Halt Rabbi Yehuda, as this is Oster. Rabbi Yehuda says that it's still Oster. As you see over here, even according to Rabbi Yehuda, it's only Oster with the Rabbanan, because it doesn't say Chayib, Oster. When Rabbi Shimon Alt, this is Mutter. And Rabbi Shimon says that in such a case with no kavanah whatsoever, it's completely Mutter. And we pass like Rabbi Shimon. It's totally Mutter. Yeah.
I think we hold it even without the
I don't know of an exception. I believe we always pass like Reb Shimon that the malacha without kavana, if it's einem miskaven, as long as it's not psik reisha, it's totally mutter. I believe so. Yeah. Okay. What's the stam a trivia question? When is, even if it's psik reisha, would it be mutter if it's done through a guy? Even though you're not, whatever malacha Yid is not allowed to do, you're not allowed to have a guy do for you. But if it's any miskaven and it is psik reisha for a Yid, it's also. But when you have a guy do it for you, even if it's psik reisha, it's mutter.
In this case,
Okay. What? Yeah. Correct. Yeah, correct. Okay, so now these two arguments, are they connected to each other? So in the Ha'aris over here, you should turn the page. There's a lot of Ha'aris. We're not going to be learning the Ha'aris because this is too much of a big pilpul here. But the Pashtus in the Rishonim and Taisvis and the Halacha, these two machlokes are not totally zebazeh necessarily. And you can see how they're not exactly the same thing. By Melacha Shein Tzricha L'Gufa, the person has kavanah for the act that he's doing. He's intending to do this action. Elamai, he wants it for a different purpose. But then you have a person that's doing something where he's b'chalal not having kavanah for this melacha at all. He's not having a kavanah for this ma'aseh b'chalal, to be mitzaref. He doesn't want to do that b'chalal. He just wants to drink some warm water. Different ma'aseh. Or this person that's taking the bench, he wants to take the bench from one location to another. The charitz that happens in the ground, there's zero kavanah to that. So that's much less. So therefore, they're not really exactly the same thing. But here the chiddush of this sikha is that Rebbe explains that the basis of both of these machlokes, in which we clearly see it's the same two tanoim that are arguing. Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon, that the basis of both of them is one akuda. So the bir in Zeh Pluktes. So to explain this machlokes, by Shabbos is meleches machshavas asr teira. Regarding Shabbos, the Gemara says in a few places that what's the isser of the melacha? The melacha is when you are intending to do something constructive. There's something that you're fixing, something that you're creating with your melacha. That's so usually machshava goes into that, right? In other words, a person is focusing and intending to fix something with this malacha. That's the concept of the malacha of Shabbos. Now, on b'shas has felt the machshava. So when a person does the malacha, and what has to get fixed or what has to get accomplished with this malacha is done, but the person there's something lacking in his thought for this purpose. And here the Rebbe again goes through the 2 points here. Needless to say, by Dovish Einim Miskavin, where a person has having zero kavanah for this malacha, there's no kavanah at all. Even though he's doing this action purposely, but it's for a different purpose. So there is his machshava is lacking in relation to the purpose of this malacha. So in such a case, is this battle geworden tzura samalacha. So then the tzura of the malacha is battle. Now this is the Rebbe's medayik here in his words. The Rebbe says tzura samalacha, meaning the malacha is not battle. Even without having the machshava, and even in the case with the zero machshava at all, the malacha is done when it got done. Right? Even he didn't intend, but it got done. But the tzura samalacha, meaning the quality of the malacha. Yeah, exactly. The tzura of the chametz when it's mafar of Ezer L'ruch. It's the same concept, exactly. But over here, it's a little bit more edel. It's more dakistic because over there you're talking pashut physically. Here, the actual physical malacha is the same, whether you have kavanah or not. But when you're doing something completely unintentionally, so as far as we're not only talking about the outcome, what happened, we're talking about the action that the person is doing. Malacha means that you're doing something. When you do something, and you're not intending that what you do should be this, and it happens to be this. So then could you say that I did this? Not really. It just happened. It happened to happen without me even realizing that it happened. So the whole quality of the malacha to say that I did this malacha, it's not the same. That's what happens here. But you can't say there's no malacha at all. Even when he had zero kavanah, the fact is that his action, his physical action, did create this malacha. So therefore, here is the machlokes whether this is still going to be Oster or not, or chayev or not.
What's the bracket saying? That both cases?
Both levels, yeah. They're not the same, right? By Dovish Einim Miskavin, there's no kavanah at all, and by Melacha Shein Tzricha L'Gufa, the Rebbe says felt machshava. You can't say that there's no machshava because he has machshava for the action, but he doesn't have machshava for the purpose of it. Mm-hmm. So now says by Shabbos. So here, the source of the machlokes, says the Rebbe, comes from the taich of the word tishbais. So the question is, what is the definition of this word? As you should cease from doing any work. Is Rabbi Yehuda was learned that shvisa is dafke when the ganze mitzvah is very bottled, just like we see Rabbi Yehuda says by the chametz, you have to burn it and you have to nullify it completely. So here as well, shvisa means you have to refrain from work altogether. Halter. So therefore, it's his opinion here. As that even when one does a malacha and he has an intention for what he's doing, but not for the purpose of it. And furthermore, even when he does something where he has zero kavanah in what he's doing, is minit mekayim them tishbais. But nevertheless, you haven't the tishbais, which has to be complete. Total rest has not been fulfilled. Well, the etzem malach, even if the tzuras malach is not there, the quality of him doing it is not the same. But the etzem malach, the fact that the malach got done by him, is faran oich be'es es felt the kavana. Is there even without the kavana. So therefore, according to Rabbi Yehuda, it'll either be aser in the case of ein miskaven, or it'll furthermore even be chayiv in the case of ein tzrich legufa. Aber abshim and was halt euch bitulat sura wird angerufen shvise. As we saw before, Abshim's opinion is that even when it's just the tsura of something by the chametz, when you just throw it up in the air and it spreads apart, that's enough that you're getting rid of the chametz. So over here as well, when you're refraining from work, in what way? The real quality of work, that you're focusing, the machshavas, that you're focusing on getting this work done, is not there. Because your machshav is not in it. Alter as oich malachish ein tzricha legufo. So therefore, he says that's enough for the concept of shvisa, for the meaning of the word shvisa. So therefore, he says that malachish ein tzricha legufo davish ein miskaven. Both of these cases, vibalts says the bain the dod the tzuras hamalacha get the shenaran and klal from tishbais. So therefore, it's already included in tishbais. He's already he's resting. He's refraining from work. That's the basis of this machlokes here. Okay, but it's not the same. Even according to Rab Shimon, there's a distinction when it comes to Malach Hashem Tzrich Legufa. So even Rab Shimon will be made that it's still going to write Patav Loser, because Sof he does have a machshava for the Maisa. He doesn't have a machshava for the Tachlis, for the purpose of the Malacha, but it's still going to be, there's still some machshava here. The Rebbe's lashon before was a felt machshava. It's not the fullness of the machshava. Okay, just one nekuda balpeh of what the Rebbe speaks about in the Haaretz. Yeah, in 1819 with the Shulei Agilion, this is a big pilpul. Okay, but one nekuda the Rebbe speaks about over here is that the ikka chiddush of what comes out from the Sikha is that the makar of the machlokes is the taich of the word tishbais, and therefore both of these nekudas are connected. At toli zeh b'zeh. But in the Mekayris that the Rebbe brings, you see that lav dafka it's toli zeh b'zeh. And not only lav dafka, l'chayre there's a raya that it's not toli zeh b'zeh. Why? Because by other isurim, not Shabbos. By all the Yisurim, what's the halacha? If you do any other Isser and an oifen of Dovish She'enim Miskaven, it's mutter, just like by Shabbos. Mashenk in the concept of Malach Hashem Tzricha Legufa is unique to Shabbos. Rab Shimon that says Malach Hashem Tzricha Legufa is potter, you don't compare and learn out from Shabbos to any other Isser in Torah. There's no such a concept by any other Isser in Torah. Huh? You're going to be totally chayav, correct? If you're over on any Isser in the Torah, what's an example of any miskaven by any other Isser?
Killing someone.
Okay, but for there, nene. I want to use that as an example of hana. Hana is already a. And Davashen miskaven. There's a famous halacha del Rebbe Shulchan Aruch, the very last halacha del Rebbe Shulchan Aruch that I spoke about it. When you get to the Isser of chaysim, dosh, when you're muzzling the animal, when it's threshing on the field. What happens if there's the animal walking through a field? It's just passing through from one field to another. It's not dosh. But when it's taking a shortcut, passing through someone's property, it happens to be threshing on the tvua that's spread out there. That wasn't your intention, b'chlal. The animal was muzzled, and it's just walking through. So it's mutter, because you're not threshing now; it's just walking through in it, and it happens to be threshing it. That's a davashem miskaven. That case, okay. There's also so that's a case of ein miskaven by another isser, which according to Rav Shimon is mutter. But there's no such a concept anywhere else. Okay, so according to the pshat that the Rebbe is saying inside the sikha here, if it's all based on the term tishbais in the Torah, so just like Malach Hashem Tzricha Legufa is a concept that's unique to Shabbos. Why? Because of the Lashon Tishbais. That's the makar of the Heter. Because according to Rav Shimon, Tishbais means it has to be a complete Shvisa. So again, Tishbais means according to Rav Shimon that as long as it doesn't have the tzur of the Malacha, then it's enough. So it's the taich of the word Tishbais that tells us that Shabbos has this unique Heter of Malach Hashem Tzricha Legufa. So if so, the same should be by Dav Hashem Miskaven. If the source of the Avashen and Miskaven is mutter, is the word Tishbais, doesn't say anywhere else in the Torah the word Tishbais. And if Midach Gisi you say that once the Torah writes that term here, Tishbais, that shows Legabe, the Isser of Shabbos, that Ein Miskaven is mutter, and then we just make a binyan av, which means you just compare it to everywhere else. So maybe you say the same thing about Ein Tzricha Legufa. So that's a big raya that these two things are not really tali zeh b'zeh. That's the discussion over here in the Hara. Okay.
almost like a Maimar Musga. This whole
Yeah, okay, we'll see. The Rebbe is bringing up over here Shabbos because it's going to be connected. The Rebbe is going to explain it. After all, the whole thing is based on loss of love. Mizmar Yom Mizmar Shil Yom Shabbos Yom Shekol Shabbos Menucha L'Chayalam. Right, that's the whole point over here.
also, if you shut off a light, is it very hard according to if you say
Shutting off a light on Shabbos, it's a malacha she'en tzricha legufa, which is
say-
only Yisem D'Rabbanan. So if you're asking a guy to shut off a
who's this
light,
Pater? One that says Pater, right? Reb Shimon? Who is it?
yeah, Reb Shimon says
Pater.
pater.
If you have a light, like you want it to be dark. You know, what do you want in the light bulb?
There's nothing in the
Nothing physical that you
actual
want. There's no pattern.
wiring in the
Right.
light bulb that, right, correct.
You save your electricity.
That's
what matters.
something. Yeah,
Chayt, it's a
that's
malacha
like
she'en
another
tzricha legufa,
thing.
yeah. Chayt, it's a malacha she'en tzricha legufa. But it's still awesome D'Rabbanan, and you're not allowed to tell a guy to do malacha D'Rabbanan as well.
Unless
Even-
it's a tzarech,
Unless it's a
mitzvah,
tzarech mitzvah.
whatever.
Well, it's a chayla maybe
I did hear once it's easier to tell a guy
to shut off the light
and
than to
turn
put it on. Yeah, for this reason.
Turning
You're putting on the
you're turning
light.
something
It's a
from
malacha
you.
tzricha legufa. You're creating a fire. You're
Right.
creating the
The need for
energy,
light.
electricity, which is the fire, and you need that what the light produces. The light.
But the whole
Yeah.
electricity is you're not over Losavaro Asia.
No.
Point that.
I don't think that's it ever. That's
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
like
Ah.
Zalman Auerbach.
yeah. You
The
sure?
first is secret.
No, show me. I
Okay.
check
You
it out.
know-
Check
you
it
know
out.
that's point that.
I think that
Electricity
was
is
a
not-
word of the
is not fire.
Chazanish. No, was
Yeah.
not a word of the
I don't know. There's
Chazanish.
some.
I think
we had someone give
The
a
Rebbe holds that electricity is not fire.
No.
either it's Bino or it's Makro Pater or something. You're
No, it's
completing
point
the
that's the
cycle,
point.
especially nowadays where it's not a fire like a phone or something.
No, he holds electricity is not fire. Even though it has the
There is
aspects.
the electrical current that you have, Lashon, in an outlet. What's the issa on Shabbos of sticking a wire into an outlet? That's one thing. where you don't-
You completed the circuit.
Right, completed the circuit. So what's the issa
That's
there?
the point.
That's a makah b'patish or a baina. Yeah. Some even say that
Especially nowadays.
there's
like
really
Tesla,
no reason this should be usher.
Yeah.
Right.
Some say
Driving a
that,
Tesla
that
nowadays.
putting a plug into the wall is
Well, there you see sparks.
huh?
There's no spark when you
There's
answer
a
your phone.
spark. There's
You
always a
see,
spark.
You see. As a kid puts his I mean not always. but
There's
you
a
see
spark.
it. But a car, I'm saying there's no a phone, a car, anything LED, anything.
LED is a different.
I think
there's
so.
no,
No, it's not the fluorescent. It's
okay.
So, no.
we had this guy come. His name is Swedish guy, head of the OU, the technology. His name.